Welcome back to the Daily's Double Shot.
I'm Teresa Jackson.
And I'm Andre Stackhouse. We've got some cool stuff for you today.
First, we'll take a look at what the Indoor Climbing Center offers students.
We talked to a UW alum about her career as a producer on The Bachelor.
We get a backstage pass to the drama department's production of Emma.
Stuart Melanis talks photo editing in another episode of Tech Talk.
David Chrisman gives us a rundown of some of history's great movies.
We take a look at how budget cuts are affecting UW janitors.
And Anastasia Stepankowski sits down with the new provost to talk about her first quarter.
All coming up
on the Daily's Double Shot.
Ooh, what is that? Chinese.
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
Quite literally, up first, we have a segment on the Indoor Climbing Center.
Roll the clip.
Everybody knows about the IMA and its variety of gym services and equipment. You may have glimpsed the Indoor Climbing Center while jogging or heard about it through the grapevine, but have you ever actually checked it out? Student manager Meg Coyne tells us more.
I think the biggest thing we offer students is access to rock climbing really cheaply. We are pretty heavily subsidized. Unlike the rest of the gyms in Seattle, we offer like a whole bunch of beginner classes and a very friendly environment, as opposed to other gyms that, you know, kind of charge you an arm and a leg and aren't full of students.
One end of the climbing area has short climbs, while the other has climbs up to 40 feet high.
So there's sort of two types of climbing. There's bouldering and rope climbing. Rope climbing, you're attached to a rope, and so when you fall, you're caught on that. So you need to wear a harness to attach yourself to it. Bouldering is lower to the ground, no ropes, you just jump down on the pads on the floor. It's generally more powerful. Like, I kind of like to think of the difference of the two as being like you take all the difficulty of a rope route and condense it into 12 feet. So they sort of present two different challenges.
Closely tied to the climbing center is the UW Climbing Club, which is mostly focused on outdoor climbing, but uses the climbing center as a place to meet and practice. Club officer Valerie Wall tells us more.
It's just a group of people that like to go out in the mountains very often, and we meet once a week, usually 5:30 for meetings, just sometimes covering trips people have done, sometimes covering basic skills like tying knots or self-rescue, and just mainly just to get together and practice things. On the weekends, we have a forum where people can meet and plan trips, and then also post about trips that they've done with other people of the club or just even other friends outside of the club. It's nice just to come in on a Monday morning after a long weekend and see what all your friends have been up to pretty much.
Climbing is a great way to stay in shape and presents interesting challenges, an aspect that PhD student Yan Chen is particularly fond of.
So when you climb, you will fall, and you will meet some problem, and I enjoy the process, like solving the problem, and this is the reason I like climbing.
If you are a climbing veteran, someone looking to get into climbing, or someone who just wants a fun way to stay in shape, the Climbing Center and Climbing Club would be great to check out.
If you are interested in climbing and have not climbed yet, come to the gym here, take one of the classes. That's the best way to get started. Come to the meetings we have at 5:30 and just meet people in the club that do climb a lot. Talk to them, say you're interested. We definitely like telling you stories and sharing our experiences and just kind of being excited about the outdoors.
If you are hesitate to climb or not, you maybe just join, you just come to the climbing center, try a 1 or 2 program, and you'll feel this is a really good place for climbing.
This is a really good place to start. The environment's really friendly, it's super nice, it's cheap, and it's a sport that I think a lot of people get really into just because of like the kind of atmosphere involved.
Man, that looks like a really awesome way to stay in shape. I may have to go check it out.
Next we'll hear from Carly Simpson, a UW alum who went on to be a producer on the show The Bachelor.
Hey, Carly Simpson here again, and it's Tuesday morning, and it's the final day.
Carly Simpson, a UW alum, has produced for shows such as Hell's Kitchen, Big Brother, the New York City Marathon, and Fox NFL Football. She is currently a field producer of the ABC shows The Bachelor and Bachelorette. Carly's favorite part of her job is thinking outside the box with a great creative team to come up with fresh ideas for a show that has been going on for 10 years.
I mean, I've had an amazing experience on The Bachelor, and it's taught me so much, and I've learned so much, and I've met so many great new friends and new people that I work with.
Carly graduated from the University of Washington in 2005 with a major in communications. She relates to us how the University of Washington was a helping hand in her career.
I liked to take as many classes as I could that kind of gave me a sense of being well-rounded. I loved being a part of the communications program, and I always feel like, you know, being able to go to someone that's, say, your professor or a teacher's assistant, you know, is always so helpful because they have that real life experience. They've, you know, gone out and succeeded in the real world, and I always leaned on them, and that was huge for me. I think one of the most important things that I gained from my classes here at the University of Washington was a sense of work ethic.
Before Carly graduated, she interned at a local production company with a family friend who worked for the Westminster Kennel Club dog show. Later, she interned for his production company her junior year, where he showed her the ropes of the producing world.
I think the most important thing that people should understand about going into producing and television is that it's a lot of work and it's cutthroat. And it's not always going to go the way you want it to, and you have to settle for a different job to get you to that next position. It's rewarding, but it's difficult.
Her internship with the dog show provided her many opportunities to travel and meet tons of great contacts within the industry.
My first internship was definitely how I got my foot in the door, and that was really my first experience with learning to love television. I was doing something that I was passionate about, that I could do really well, and that I felt proud of.
With all of her contacts from her internship, Carly landed her first big job with IMG, one of the largest sports entertainment and management companies in the world. One of her most memorable experiences at IMG was working as a segment producer for the New York City Marathon.
I still always look back to my second year at IMG. I was thrown in as a segment producer on the New York City Marathon. And that role was actually a lot larger than I thought that it would be initially. And my role was to produce the on-course reporter for the marathon. So it was one of those things that, you know, before the marathon actually took place, there's a lot of pre-production that goes into it, and I had to do a lot of interviews to figure out, you know, which stories were the best stories. And then once, you know, it was the day of, it was a 5-hour live broadcast. And it's like this intense moment where it's like, oh my gosh, this is all up to me and it's going live. And, you know, it's one of my first biggest jobs. And I think that to this day was a really fun experience for me.
At this point in her life, her end goal is to become an executive producer. Although she has come a long way, she still misses the University of Washington.
I miss UW. I do. I miss it here. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to study. It's a great place to start out. You know, it provides you with the tools you're going to need for the future. And, you know, I lean back on all of those skills that I learned here every day in my career. So I'm so thankful that my dad talked me into coming here, and I feel like I had a really good education.
Very cool. It's always great to see UW alums doing something great with their degrees.
There's certainly a lot of talent here, like the actors who were recently in the drama department's production of Jane Austen's Emma.
Interesting. Roll the clip.
The UW Drama Department put on Jane Austen's Emma. We talked to the actor who played Mr. Knightley and a student in drama at UW.
Knightley is as Emma says, he is not vain at all. He is very, very concerned and very caring about the entirety of the community, whether he likes some of the people or not. It's very interesting because Mr. Knightley refers to Emma by her first name, Emma. But everyone else, you don't, unless you are on very intimate terms with a person and they have given you permission to do so. And even then, in social situations, you probably don't, but everyone refers to each other as Mr. this and Mr. that, or Miss this or Mrs. that. And first names are a very, very intimate form of communication between people. It says a lot for people that talk to each other that way. One of my professors put it in a wonderful way. She said to her the show was like a Valentine, which I liked a lot because it's easy, it might be easy to consider it like, oh, you know, this fun Jane Austen romp, but it's the journeys that Emma and Knightley go through. All the characters have, in my opinion, a very clear kind of journey that involves how they associate with other people. And Emma specifically, you realize, you know, she is so concerned about meddling in other people's business, and she pays more attention to other people's problems than she does to her own, and ends up realizing near the end that because of this, she has come very close to possibly losing the only thing that could really matter to her.
There was this moment that they had a scene out that was supposed to be out on a country road in the rain, and they had umbrellas as props, of course. And the one umbrella they had that was working, it had rain on the top of it. You know, and that's such a simple thing. It's maybe obvious that if it's raining, there's going to be rain on the umbrella, but it was really the difference between being in a dry theater and taking you out into a wet country road.
Once we started getting people in the theater, you realize that story really does kind of touch people's hearts, because Jane Austen was, you know, everyone knows who Jane Austen is for a reason. And to me, I feel like we're, in some small way at least, helping to keep that alive.
Well, that production looks simply marvelous, marvelous.
Andre, it's 2012. We have technology. Nobody speaks like that anymore.
Oh, technology, like photo editing software? Let's have Stuart tell us about it in the new episode of Technology Speak.
Digital camera technology is very sophisticated. Cell phones take photos of a quality that increases dramatically year after year. But even with the best DSLR, you might want to tweak the image after you've taken it to bring out some of its best features. Maybe you want to dabble in HDR. Perhaps you just want to make your photograph look like a cartoon. In any case, a piece of photo editing software is required. But which should you use? Photoshop is the definitive choice when it comes to photo editing. It is by far the most advanced program available and is the industry standard for good reason. It's almost perfect. It can do anything that you can imagine. It has only two real downsides. One, it's complicated. Two, it's expensive. But if you can afford it and you have time to learn how it works, Photoshop is the best tool available. GIMP stands for the GNU Image Manipulation Program. What this means exactly isn't really important. What is important is that GIMP is basically a free version of Photoshop. GIMP also has Photoshop's problem of being relatively complex, but if you can't afford Adobe's offering, GIMP is a good alternative. Paint.net is what you should choose if you need a program that's decently featured, but not a behemoth like GIMP or Photoshop. Even though I'm very familiar with Photoshop, I still use Paint.net regularly for quick edits. It's just so easy. And like GIMP, it's free. You can't really complain about that. Google's Picasa is mainly focused on organizing photos, but it does include some editing features as well. These are very few in number and are basic functions like red eye removal. Picasa should not be relied on for serious editing. Google did recently purchase Picnic, a cloud-based image editor, and its features are set to be integrated into Google+, so expect a more fully featured offering from Google soon. PhotoFlexer is an image editing program based entirely in the cloud. Its main draw is its connectivity with social networking sites. The site is easy to understand and offers pretty substantial features, including layers. Aviary's Phoenix is another cloud-based program. Although they're similar, I prefer Phoenix to PhotoFlexer. The interface is cleaner and it's laid out more logically. Aviary's image editor is also available as an app for Google's Chrome web browser. Corel's Paint Shop Pro is very similar to Photoshop, although it offers significantly less features. I would compare Paint Shop Pro to Photoshop Elements, Adobe's offering for consumers. Since they offer similar features and prices, it really comes down to personal preference. The great thing about photo editing software is the fact that there are many powerful options available if you don't have any money to spend. However, if photography is your major hobby or you're thinking of taking photos as a potential business, an investment in Photoshop is definitely worth it. Having a knowledge of Photoshop also makes you more marketable in the workplace. So consider your situation, find the best piece of software, and take some pictures. Thanks for watching Tech Talk. Please direct questions or comments to techtalk@stuartmarlantis.com. We'll see you next time.
Well, that was informative.
I wonder if they have editing software for videos.
Dude, we use video editing for the show.
Oh.
Up next, David Chrisman discusses some of history's greatest movies.
Hello, I'm David Chrisman, and this is Film Focus. So far in this segment, we've been looking at newly released films, but today, we're going to do something a little different. I bet you're thinking that I'm going to do an Oscars wrap-up, but you'd be wrong. Instead, I thought I might make a few suggestions about things that I personally like. I've kind of watched a lot of movies, and there's a lot I'd like to say about them. But I'm going to have to narrow this down somehow, won't I? Tell you what, let's go by years. How about one from the past year, past decade, past 50 years, and an even 100? There's been a lot of good films released in the past year, and I've reviewed some of them, but I'll go with one that I haven't looked at yet. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's a Cold War spy film, starring Gary Oldman, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Tom Hardy. I've chosen this film because of how technically amazing it is. Everything about it is just right, from the cinematography down to the pens and paper. Tinker Tailor looks and feels like you're stepping back into the middle of the Cold War. It's the closest thing to a technically perfect film I think I've ever seen. Let's go back in time now. One film from the past decade, V for Vendetta. What? I never said these would be obscure or anything like that. Now, a lot of people have probably already seen this, and that doesn't surprise me. It's one of my favorite movies to watch with a group, and a great movie in its own right. V for Vendetta has just the right balance of fighting and plot, with extremely memorable characters. One thing that people might not have noticed about this film is how amazingly detailed its sound design is. You'll never realize it unless you think about it. Okay, one from the past 50 years. This is where things start to get really tricky for me. But I'm going to choose Cool Hand Luke. Starring the late, great Paul Newman, this one is a real classic, a prison drama about a nonconformist's time on a chain gang. Cool Hand Luke is one that I think everyone should see. There are no words to describe it. This is just a great film, and it's inspiring, touching, has a legendary performance, and one of the most memorable lines in film.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Finally, let's finish it out with one of the earliest thrillers ever made, Fritz Lang's M. This film helped create a genre, and is a great example of German cinema. Yeah, it's in German. Wait, just hold on a minute. I know that people don't always like films in different languages, especially older ones. They don't know what the people are saying, they don't like reading subtitles, it's less enjoyable when you have to read something. But please, just give this one a shot. It's a hard sell because it's old in a different language, but it's worth it. The story is chilling, suspenseful, and you'll never be able to whistle Hall of the Mountain King ever again. So, there we go. 4 movies, 4 different time periods. If you've already seen one of these, go check out the other ones. I can't guarantee that you'll like all or even any of them. But if you ever get lost just trying to find something, it's a place to start. And there are so many more things that you can watch than these. I could suggest all sorts of things. Samurai movies, musicals, dramas, action movies, foreign films, historically important films. I could do whole episodes on single directors. But we're out of time. I hope you take a look at these suggestions if you get the chance. Get out there and explore some movies that you haven't seen before.
Wow, I feel cinematically educated.
Do you think 100 years from now a film critic might be talking about our show?
No.
Oh. Well, did you hear that the janitors are protesting in Red Square about a recent round of layoffs?
We got a chance to dig deeper into the matter. Roll the segment. UW janitors. The men and women who literally have the keys to our little city have been facing some big issues this year. You may or may not have seen them protesting in Red Square. Salvador Castillo, a UW janitor, took time off his 30-minute break to talk with us about the problems the janitors are facing.
I love the university. I like that everybody, students. I like to be around everybody and help everybody, But one of the problems we got in the university is been reduced the budget in different directions.
Due to budget cuts, custodial services have not only cut the amount of supplies, but staff as well.
So it's impossible. Like the A building right now, we got to start 36 blackboards, 4 auditoriums, first floor, mezzanine, second floor, and then from there we come right here to this building. Plus we got another 2 extra runs, two floors with no custodians. We got the money to pay more service. And another problem is they increase the number of buildings, new buildings. And I asked to Charles Kennedy, I said, excuse me, why if you not got money to hire more custodians, how you build more buildings?
When talking to Salvador, he did raise a lot of good questions. For example, how does this affect their jobs? After talking to Salvador, we met with Satya Sia, an administrative director with custodial services.
The cleanliness level, we noticed that it has been reduced than we expected, than we would want it. He's got some feedback from our customer on, they are concerned about service level in their building. Also, they share their concern to see if anything that they could do to help us to deal with the budget issue, to see if they can maybe voice their opinion to higher up levels.
The situations that the janitors are facing is serious and affects everyone. They now only clean the buildings once a week, and because of the drop in staff, their job is now practically impossible to complete. When asked, what can we do as students? Salvador said this.
Only thing I can say, fight for your rights, because you guys pay a lot of money. So right now you guys have time to fight back and say, hey, why?
So next time you see a piece of trash on the ground, just pick it up. Or the next time you see a rally or hear about one, join in on this discussion.
Well, I wish the best for them.
Yeah, me too. Well, Andre, what's our last segment about?
Well, last up, Anastasia Stepankowski sits down for an interview with the new provost. Let's hear what she has to say.
2.5 months ago, the University of Washington named a new provost. We had the opportunity to speak to Provost Cauce about the challenges that come with her new office in Gerberding Hall. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, good to be here.
How have the first couple months of being provost been for you?
On the one hand, one of the positive things is I've been at the university for 26 years. And so things aren't coming at me that I've never heard of or that I'm not familiar with. And I'm working with people that I know. On the other hand, what's been a little disconcerting has been the sheer volume. The number of things that I need to get done in a day, in a week, in a month, are just overwhelming.
What is your favorite part about being involved in the University of Washington community?
I really love the student contact. One of the things that I've really treasured is that even when I was chair and when I was dean, I was able to keep my hand in teaching. I used to teach the last 3 or 4 years I've taught in the summer bridge program, and that works best for me because I can do it during the time when the other demands are a little bit lower. That program was transferred to the academic year, so I didn't teach in it this summer, and so I'm looking for other ways in which I can continue to be involved in teaching.
What would you say to students who are concerned about differential tuition or just tuition in general?
I understand the concern. I absolutely do. I think we're working very hard to continue to make education affordable. We actually have more low-income students at the university this year than we've ever had, despite tuition being higher, because we've been able to put money back into financial aid. In terms of differential tuition, I think that the real issue is that, and I think that Dean Matt O'Donnell in engineering has put it extremely well when he says that access has 2 A's. One A is the affordable, but the other A is the available. What we're talking about with differential tuition, if we go there, and it hasn't been decided yet, is we're looking at programs that are more expensive to deliver and where there's high demand, both on the part of students. These are places that students want to get in, and there's also high demand in terms of there's jobs out there. How do we expand? How do we expand those programs? Since those programs are more expensive than other programs, and they're more expensive than tuition plus state support, the only way that we're going to be able to expand those programs is either by the state giving us more money, and it looks like we may get some more money for engineering from the state this year. We're still waiting to hear, but that's something that's being considered. But the only way we can expand is, through a combination of having students pay more for what they're receiving.
Is there anything in general that you would like to comment on?
I think this is really one of the few places in the country, and I think that there's few places like this left, that both offer very good access. Like I say, about a third of our students are Pell Grant eligible, 32%, and over 25% of our students are first generation. And so that really shows access. The other thing that we have to offer is absolute excellence. I've worked with a lot of students here that are out doing amazing things in the world, sometimes only 5 or 10 years after graduation. If you look at what our alums are doing, they're all over the place in terms of industry, in terms of government, in terms of the creative arts. I think we also need to be engines of opportunity, places where, in essence, people of modest means can come out and be masters of the universe.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and coming to my office. All right, great.
Well, she seems like she has a lot of work on her plate.
You can catch the full interview and other segments on youtube.com/thedaily.
That's all we have for you today.
Watch us every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time
on The Daily's Double Shot.